Hi, this is Damon Pistolka, host of The Faces of Business, where I talk with interesting people, sharing life and business experiences to entertain, engage, build community, and provide information to help others succeed. If you're interested in learning more about one of our guests or how we are helping business owners generate wealth and build businesses they can sell or succeed at Exit Your Way, you can find more information on our website, exityourway.com, or by contacting me directly, Damon at exityourway.com. I hope you enjoy the show. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to The Faces of Business. I am your host, Damon Pistolka, and oh my goodness, am I excited for our guest today because we have none other than Thane Isaacs from Innovations Tomorrow. He is the man, the myth, the legend that is helping green and snow industry leaders and teams reach great heights. Today, we are going to be talking about how executive retreats drive leadership growth and business success. Thane, thanks for being here today, my friend.
Man, thank you for having me. It's always an honor to be here, Damon. It is a fantastic day here in Vermont. We're 58 degrees. Sun is out. The snow is melting. Doesn't mean we're not going to get more snow, but just really excited to be here. And hopefully we can learn a little bit from each other and help some people out there elevate themselves and excel themselves to a new level.
Nice. I'm sure I'm not speaking of myself, but I'm sure we can learn from you today, Thane. It'll be great.
Thanks.
So, as we always like to do, Thane, let's look back a ways.
Mm-hmm.
Thane, getting into the green industry. What really brought you into the green industry and going up through the green industry like you did?
Well, to be honest, I think a lot of people get in the green industry, not necessarily to become rich. I don't think that's really most people's goal in that. My goal was not to be stuck in an office all day and to be able to get around, do things, and have freedom. And working for a small company, I had a lot of that, and we were able to do some really amazing and innovative things. But as time goes on, Damon, you get responsibility. I had started a family, and that small business didn't really support and do everything I needed, so I had to get into the commercial world. And I looked around in the business I went into and thought, you know what, I can actually do. I had always shunned that kind of a business, but I'm like, I can actually do well here, and I can grow up through the ranks, which I did. And I felt like that I needed to use that leadership that I had done to move up the ladder quickly, 2 years in this position, 2 years in this, 2 years in this. And, within 6 years, I'm running the whole thing, so it was pretty amazing to be able to do that by just having that vision. And then I wanted to share that with other people and help other people do it as I moved through my history. I've had a lot of opportunities to move back into the industry and actually work on day-to-day stuff. And I've just found that doesn't excite me as much as being able to work with a whole lot of different situations and not have to deal with the day-to-day as much. That it gets a little boring for me, gets a little routine, and I really enjoy getting in and working with people. I'm not one of those people who comes in and says, hey, here's how you do it and walk away. I want to roll up my sleeves. I'll do it with you. I'll go cut the grass with you. I'll go do snow with you, whatever you want to do. But where I do have the most influence is through all my years of experience and be able to help people through those situations, plus my John Maxwell leadership coaching skills that have helped me do that as well.
Yeah. That's cool. And I think a lot of times people confuse that there are some consultants that are like almost like a college professor, right? That wants to teach you something, but probably haven't done it before.
Right.
And that's what I think is different for you is you've been in the industry, you've done the things in the industry, and you understand and probably have done what you're talking with them about.
Yes, most of the time I have done it even recently. I try to stay involved in that kind of stuff so that I can keep hands on. But also as a coach with businesses, professionally, I was a facilitator. When I was with U.S. Lawns, I had 32 different operations around the country that I worked with individually, one-on-one, as their facilitator. And that's really what I like to look at myself at more as a facilitator, because I feel like with consultants, that is kind of a lot of what they feel like their role is. And that's great that works for them. But I want to come in, and one of my big things is, especially as remote as we are now, is I want to come in and spend time within the operations to see how things work, to see how I can help by putting my hands on, but actually seeing how people put their hands on.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it, and what you have to do in some of these industries where you are doing things with stuff, building things, and like I said, in the snow and the green industry, making great landscapes, making sure that places are safe in the wintertime. There's a lot of details in doing that. But we got a couple guests showing up. This is somebody I think we know, Mr. Kirk Brown. Said,
"Hello, Kirk.
Hey, thanks for stopping by today, Kirk." Then someone else said LinkedIn. They're the LinkedIn user. People need to change their settings so you can be seen on the thing. But they said, awesome. Thanks for being here. Whoever you are, appreciate you stopping by. So as you're going through this career, right, you can, and we're talking today about executive retreats and leadership development. I mean, that's you're really a master in that. What caused the switch? When did you just say that, I can be great operationally, but I want to push myself to be better and help build leaders and build better leaders?
Well, here's what I found. This really happened at U.S. Lawns, because I got the opportunity to see a whole lot of different operations, and they all had a lot of the same systems and processes. But you know what they didn't all have? The same people.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that had the people who were bought in and were really passionate about and felt a big part of. And these were even some of the operations that I didn't work with directly, that I visited and got to visit with other franchise advisors. I got to see this as well. Those were the ones that were really doing well. It didn't matter that we, all used the same kind of process, all the same kind of system. It mattered about the people implementing it. And that was something I just really thought about, how I can implement this into my life and what I want to do when I went out on my own. And what I eventually did was I became a John Maxwell coach that helped me understand the leadership and personal development and personal growth side, because it doesn't matter what systems and processes you have if you're not also constantly innovating and asking yourself, what's going to break? How can I make it better? I want to be the one seeing how it's going to break. I don't want my competition to break it, and I don't want my customers to break it. I want to be the one to break it, see what's going to break, and fix it. So those were kind of some of the things, the nuances that helped me want to go down this line. And by having this family beach house that we have and being able to invite people there in this organic environment, we're able to have more clarity and more focus. There aren't these distractions. You're not having to check with the desk at the hotel. You're not having to ask permission to do this or do that. It's a house that is open and free to explore in and be a part of. And everybody's able to live in this little mini community almost. And we serve each other. And everybody has to do everybody's dishes, carry out garbage and things like that. And part of the reason behind that, Damon, is because I believe if we can't do the lowest of things for each other, we'll never do the greatest of things together.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
So I feel like if I can carry out your garbage, if, Kirk Brown, who's been to 3 of these, if he can wash the dishes of Scott Lesack, or if he can wash the dishes of Paul Varices, then, then he can get along with them and do some hard tasks, work through some hard things. So I think that, again, that's a real big part of it. But also, again, the organic setting where it's not so sterile, it gives a lot of people a lot of clarity. A friend of mine who came, she was going through a big career change. She said it was one of the greatest things she had done, because she got the clarity she needed to make the changes she wanted to make, and gave her that great focus that would have been hard in a different kind of setting. So where the beach behind me is Sunrise at that beach. And again, we've been doing this for about 4 years now. I've had a lot of repeat attendees, and a lot of people coming back is my greatest compliment. People who want to come back. And I mean, it's kind of like, I want that recipe, or I want to eat that again, what you made last night for supper. I want to eat that again. It's a great compliment.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We got one of our friends here, Ronald Henderson. He said, "Here with you. Thanks for stopping by today, Ronald, and dropping a comment, my friend. Always great to see you in the crowd and listening." So, Thane, we've got a little special treat for people today, and you've got something from one of your sponsors.
Yep.
And let's show that off there.
Yeah, this is a great hat, Storks Plows. They are one of our sponsors for Coffee on the Peak, and this hat is really nice, and it's also from Western Plows, and it's got this really nice emblem. It's a really heavy duty, heavy industrial rubber, and it's raised writing. So the first person who can type in "I want the hat," I will mail you the hat, or if it happens to be Kirk Brown, I'll bring it to him. So the first person who says "I want the hat," I can't see anybody's comments. There we go. There we go.
Now you got them.
Now I got them. So anybody who wants this hat, I will mail it to you or bring it to you. But you got to type in the comments, "I want the hat." So the first person to do that gets that hat. And thanks for my sponsor on Coffee on the Peak, Storks Plows, who's got the Snow Alliance coming up. If you're in the industry, it's a great event to attend. And that's
I tell you, the one thing that I know, and I know zero almost about snow removal, and especially in we got somebody.
Yep, Stephen Goodwin right there. He's he's a Coffee on the Peak fan, and he comes to Sundays on the Peak too. Every Sunday at 6:30, Ronald and I do Sundays on the Peak, which is leadership and scripture. It's not preaching; it's actually us trying to learn, and we just share what we're learning with everybody. So, Stephen, drop your address in my direct message, and I will get this mailed out to you, brother. It's an awesome hat. You'll love it.
Oh, we had another one come in.
Sorry, Christine. I only have one hat to give away today.
Yeah.
Check out Coffee on the Peak. I've got 4 more of these to give away coming up on Coffee on the Peak. We do that every Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern.
Yep. There you go. There you
go. Right here on LinkedIn. Right here on LinkedIn.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Connect with Thane if you aren't already, and you can join him on Coffee on the Peak every Thursday at 8 a.m. Eastern
Friday.
Excuse me.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking Thursday.
That's all right.
But anyway, it's Friday, 8 a.m. And then you do on the Sunday show. Talk a little bit about that, because that's another good one. I get to watch the replays because I'm on the West Coast.
Right.
And on Sunday, it's a little late or early for me.
Yeah. And you've been up for Coffee on the Peak to be a guest for us before. And I know that's 5 o'clock your time. So I really appreciate that. But, so what Ron and I are doing with Sundays on the Peak, it's just John Maxwell says the Bible's the greatest leadership book ever written. And we're just going through, and we both come up with the subject. We switch weeks, we alternate weeks, and we talk about those subjects and the leadership lessons that are there. Again, it's not to say you need to read the Bible or you don't need to read the Bible. I'm more about spirituality than I am a particular religion. And it's just a journey that I'm trying to learn. And Ronald was willing to go through that with me. And we also have a guy who helps us named Deborah, who's married to Ronald. And she is a great guy. She comes in from time to time and straightens us out. But she is a true theologian at heart. She completely understands and actually does Bible classes every Sunday. So she actually teaches. So, but
that's
again,
awesome.
it's just a personal journey to help me have a better relation with that and have a better understanding of that and be able to apply those principles in my life and the life of people around. Because again, you may not be religious, but those lessons are not going to hurt you.
Yeah. Well, and this is, I'm glad we started talking about this thing, because one of the things that you can really experience after being around you for a few moments and really listen to you talk is your passion for helping your own leadership, the personal development and leadership development, and helping others with their development, their personal and leadership development. So what do you think really, I mean, when did that really connect? You said something about John Maxwell, but I mean, man, your passion is undeniable about this. Just talk about that a little bit and how it really fulfills you.
Oh, I was actually sharing this story with Ronald the other day, where this whole personal growth journey started. I've shared Desiderata with a lot of people. And when I was about 14, I was going through my stepfather's, he had a chest of drawers down in the garage. It was full of a lot of books like Isaac Asimov and Kurt Vonnegut Jr., just some really outlandish thinking for a 14-year-old kid to start reading. So that's where I really started reading. But I also found this plaque. and it was Desiderata. And go placidly amidst the noise and haste, and find what peace there may be in silence. We could go into the whole thing, but I'm not going to go into it all. But I hung that on my wall when I was 14 years old. I would read that on a regular basis. I still have that same plaque to this day hanging downstairs. It's a great piece, and it always made me realize that my biggest goal was to continue to grow like the universe around me grows, to continue to expand. And I applied that first in my life to playing guitar. That's where I first applied it. Was I never want to stop learning how to get better on my guitar. I also played bass as well, and I played both of those, and I tried to learn different ways to do different things and be as creative as I could. I didn't start applying that to my real life until I probably turned about 35. And then that's when I decided I need to come up with my own personal mission. Before I'd even read that from Stephen Covey, I'm like, businesses have personal missions. Why shouldn't I have a personal mission? I eventually came up with it, and it took me years to do it. It's so succinct, but my personal mission finally became to help any and all, whether stranger or friend, have a better life, and in turn, make a better world for all of us. That's it. It's that simple. And if I can do that, if I can try to help others around me have a better life, that will create a better world for all of us. If I help two people have a better life, just that little bit helps the world be a little bit better. And if I can do that on a daily basis, then that makes everything better. And it comes from, understanding that the greatest thing I can do to make me be a better leader is to help other people.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm gonna diverge a little bit here, but I'm gonna get to the comments here in just a moment. But a very important question: favorite guitar player of all time?
Favorite guitar player of all time. That's one of those things those like my favorite color. I really hate to answer those questions.
Give me a couple then. Give me a couple
then. Stevie Ray Vaughan was incredible. Jimmy Page was incredible to see. I never got to see him live. I did get to see Stevie Ray Vaughan live. I was right there in front of the stage at the Mid-South Fair. It was a free show to get to see.
Oh my God.
Play. Yeah, it was like they used to do
this
it.
Just give me chills, dude.
Fair. Yeah, so to be able to see him play was incredible. Again, Jimmy Page is incredible. Hendrix, obviously, but I was never a big Hendrix fan. I never listened to a lot of Hendrix. I have Hendrix, but it's not something that I'm going to play over and over again. But I'm also one of those people that loves someone like Les Paul, and I love Chet Atkins. I love that kind of guitar playing too. It's some precise, almost digitized guitar playing. So they weren't digital at all. So again, I like a whole genre, but I definitely don't have someone who I'd be like, oh, I'll go down in history fighting you that's the best guitar player. Because again, I also like Alex Lifeson of Rush, and I could go on forever to the different guitar players that I like. It just depends on the mood, but I would never say one of them's best. I would just say that in this situation, I want to hear that one in this situation. So that's how I am. And it's just, again, I just don't have a best. Like, it would be like saying, what's your favorite Led Zeppelin song?
Exactly.
How do you do that? It's like,
exactly.
You can't. So same type of thing.
But that's, tell you what, though, you mentioned the greats there, and there are just some, and like you said, it's, you can hear somebody play a classical guitar, and it is absolutely incredible with their technical expertise and the precision of it. And then you hear somebody that's completely on the other side of it that's just doing it themselves too. So that's so cool.
Well, like the Jimmy Page hand and eye coordination that he had. To watch the song remains the same, and watch what his fingers are doing. It's mesmerizing. It is completely mesmerizing. So it's a completely different style than Stevie Ray Vaughan. They're just different styles.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's so good. So good. So as you're moving down the road here, and this passion for personal development and leadership, what really was the impetus or the origin story of having retreats and bringing these leaders out there and spending some days with people and really doing this differently?
Well, it actually goes back to Memphis, and it was before I ever had a beach house to go to. My father had some land in the Ozarks, and every year I would take my team from Valleycrest that I worked with. Every year I would take them in the fall, and we'd go out there and we'd have paintball wars, and we would have team building. I did that, I think, for 4 years. And we would sit around the fire at night, and we would have really personal sharing conversations, get really intimate, really deep, share, be vulnerable with each other. And so that's the first place I really started doing that. And it made us a really strong team. I mean, we ran it at 94 to 92% retention rate on employees. I mean, that
Wow.
says a lot in a landscape company in the South. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was not my reporting. That was corporate's reporting. So, so we had a strong team. It was a great bond like that. And as when I came to Vermont, that just went out the window. That wasn't something anybody here wanted to do. But as COVID came, and I was trying to think of, well, actually I'd started before COVID because I actually had to write refund checks because of COVID coming. So I had to cancel some of those that I had set up. And then after COVID, I wanted to get it going again. But I wanted to focus not on business because that's what I'd focused on for the first, some of those that I had was more about the business. I wanted to get back to those roots of working on personal development, personal growth. Because again, that nature, that's that part of nature, that organic place where there's not a schedule, there's not the rush, the cell phones are off to the side. You can actually focus and get some clarity that you need. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of people who have cried at those retreats. It's almost everyone that's been to those has had some type of, and they ask why, and I'm like, because you're healing, because we all need to heal, especially men. Men have so much healing they need to do. So that's what I decided to do after COVID was to get that going. And the first one was such a success. I just haven't stopped since. About every 6 months, I try to do some. I did some in January this year, which I've never done before. And they were pretty unique. There was snow there at the beach, which since the 1950s, never had any snow there. So that was pretty cool. But again, each time it's a unique experience. I try to make each experience better or at least different. People have come, and I remember one guy coming to his second one, and he was like, well, this isn't what we did last time. I'm like, well, that's not this. We aren't doing the exact, you would be bored. I mean, that might be what you want, but once you start doing it, it's kind of like peeking at your Christmas presents and know what they are before Christmas. Once Christmas comes, it's not as exciting as if you didn't know what your presents were. It's the same type of thing. So you've got to keep people guessing what's coming, the exciting things that are coming. And you have to have that time for personal growth. One gentleman recently came to the retreat in January, and then his mother passed recently. And he said he was able to use a lot of the things he learned at the retreat to deal with this, and actually to help propel himself to do some things that he hadn't done that he'd wanted to do for years. And he's actually started doing some of these things. So again, what happens at these retreats is different for everybody. And I'll have an itinerary. Okay. I just like to always throw this. I have an itinerary. It rarely sticks to the itinerary because we find out, hey, this is something somebody needs. We need to go down this path as opposed to this path. We need to work on this as opposed to this. And that's the beauty, is to be able to have done this, for so long that I can change on the fly. I can take it where it needs to go. So the people that are in attendance get the most out of it, because it's never about me and what I need to deliver. It's about what the recipients need and what they need me to deliver and what they need to deliver themselves while they're there. Finding those things out.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I said I was going to get to the comments here, Thane. I'm going to, and of course, Stephen was here. He said nice earlier. Then he got I want the hat first. So that's good. And then we had Christine stop by, and she was right behind Stephen for getting the hat, but just missed out. We had Ronald's got a few good comments in here. Thanks for dropping. And Jeremy was here. Make sure we got Jeremy. The gang's all here. Thanks for stopping by, Jeremy, and dropping a comment. And then Ronald stopping, putting his Hendrix blew my mind in when we were talking about guitar players. So thanks so much for doing that.
Yeah.
But the one thing, and that's we're gonna diverge here just a little bit, because let's talk a little bit about Ocean Isle, where you have the retreats, in the part that nature plays.
Well, the part that nature plays, we walk and we're right out on the ocean. I mean, the house is, I would say, 500 yards from the beach. We don't have anything that's going to keep us from getting out there. You can just walk right out onto the beach, and then there's the ocean. The ocean, Damon, the ocean, that is the most calming force in the world and the most powerful force in the world. Okay,
Yep.
it's the most powerful force we know. It can take cities out in no time, but it can also put you to sleep. We have a day bed that people will actually sit on and fall asleep during the day. It's a humongous day bed out on the porch, and with the ocean going, it's just so soothing. And
Hmm.
having those two forces out there, it in one entity, those opposing forces, it helps us to understand how to be more harmonious with life, and it helps us to understand, our connection to everything. I feel like every time I come there, I don't care how cold it is. I did it in January. I've got to put my feet in the ocean because it connects me to the whole world. When I'm putting my feet there, I'm connected to the whole world. And I think we have that connection with life when we're there, and we're able to really, really be able to feel that connection in that natural environment. Again, where we wouldn't be able to in that hotel environment where we've got 750 people with tents up and umbrellas up beside us. And we do have a lot of privacy. There are other people there, but it's not overly crowded. We have somewhat a good deal of privacy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, as you're talking about the location, that quiet is so important if you're trying to work on yourself, if you're trying to work on your whatever you're trying to, just getting those distractions away from you and being in an environment where it is really close to nature and quiet so you can
Yeah.
think about
Well, that's even part of the exercises. There are times it's like, hey, I need you to go walk the beach now. I need you to go walk the beach. Sometimes it's going together, but sometimes it's, I need you to go on your own. I need you to
it.
walk
Yeah.
each on your own so you can have your own thoughts. And that's where some also of the greatest thoughts I've had there, come from. I mean, one of the exercises that we do at almost every event, it came to me the first event. I had never thought of it. I was sitting on the day bed and it came to me, and I just did it the next morning, and it's what really propelled a lot of people to go, wow, it's a mind opener. We call it the abundance exercise. And now it's done at almost every one of those retreats. And if it's a second retreat, we do it a little bit differently. I've even had one person who I asked them to do the abundance exercise. So again, it's one of those things that it's just a very magical place, and you can't really explain it. You have to attend it, but it is definitely a magical place, and it's an inlet. So the sun doesn't rise in front of you. The sun rises from the side and it goes down. So the sun is there all day. I have one panoramic picture where the sun is on one end of the sky and the full moon is in the other end of the sky. So it's a
Wow.
pretty magical and unique place just in the way it's set. Because usually when you're at the ocean, the sun comes up on the horizon and it goes down behind you, but it doesn't do that at Ocean Isle Beach.
Very cool. Very cool. So we're talking about these retreats and how these really help to drive personal leadership growth and business success. What are some of the things people say once they've taken this time to really understand and work on these things that they're trying to, change in their life and their business and those things?
Well, again, Martin Tirado of Sima was there, and one of the things he said was it taught him ways that he can be a better leader, ways because he has a huge team that he leads at the Sima organization, and taught him ways that he needs to like a lot of people think that when they're asking people to do other things, they're shirking their duties. And it's like one of the things we talk about is, well, that's part of giving people opportunity to grow. And that gives you, I mean, my thing was always the more I can get other people to do, the more I can do. It's not the less I can do. I can do other things that I wasn't able
Mm-hmm.
to do before. And if you can see these kind of things, your role as a leader is not to hold people back. Your role as a leader is to develop people. And I used to have a saying that was, take my job, please.
Mm-hmm.
Take my job, please. If you're that good, take my job. We won't fight about it. It's like if that, we need the best people in the best places. So again, having that kind of, put it in these words, okay? It's something I've shared with a couple of people I work with. So many of us are so worried about being the damn captain of our ship instead of the admiral of our fleet. We've got to be the admiral of the fleet. We need to have more boats with more captains on it than us trying to be the captain on that ship. And when we can understand the delegation, the ability to give people the ability to do that, we can go and we can visit more islands. We can visit more lands. We can have more opportunity by that. But when we're trying to be the captain of that ship, that's the only ship we have, and that's the only place
Yeah.
we can go is where that ship's going. We need more ships in that fleet going where we need them to go. So in order to do that, we've got to have more captains, because I can't be a captain on 27 ships.
Yeah.
I mean, I can try to be, but it's going to be a disaster, So how can we get where we have people who have that much want to be the captain of each ship? And how can we be good enough at our leadership to be able to let those people do what they need to do and give them that kind of guidance that they need?
Yeah, that's great advice, because as you're thinking about that, you can only be the captain of one ship, but the admiral has many ships.
Yes.
And when you're looking at the green industry and the way that teams are built and the things that you need to get done, if you're the captain of one ship, you're not going to get that much done.
No, you've got to start figuring out how to do that. And again, with a lot of people, it's they want to move too fast, and it's like, hey, you've got to be able to get two captains first. You've got to be able to let that fleet grow. You can't push it too fast, and you've still got to, until you get that fleet where it needs to be, you still got to step on those boats a lot and make sure that they're running right. Once you get that culture going and you get, hey, this is how we're training our people, this is the system and process we do it, this is replicatable, and we build that culture where people believe in it and follow it, now we can build it a lot faster. But again, we've got to have the quality people, and we've got to have the great systems. As I said earlier, you can have all the systems in the world, but if you don't have good people, and you've got to be good people to attract good people.
Yeah.
You're not going to attract good people if not for long. If you're an ass, you good people will leave.
I love that, because I'm just going to talk about that a little bit. You brought out the C word, and I mean culture, and everybody talks about it today. And they always think, building great culture, but you just brought it up. And talk a little bit about how the relationship between personal development helps to build better culture.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we're getting everybody within the organization to develop and work on themselves, then we're building better, stronger people. And when we build better, stronger people, we're going to attract better, stronger people. Actually, I did a post today on this today, where I was up on the mountain yesterday. My boss had invited me, my ex-boss had invited me to lunch to talk, and we had a great time. I saw the sign, and it said HR, where the employee experience starts. That's actually where the customer experience starts as well. And if we don't have that great culture, if we have that culture where we talk about things, but we don't model them for our people, if we talk about how we need to be so respectful to the customer, but we hear someone on the phone cussing a customer out or hanging up on the phone and then cussing about the customer, that's not setting that example. So we have to live those things. So I think we have to understand that part of what culture is also how we treat each other, which is how we treat the customer. I'm not going to treat the customer great at the core of who I am naturally if I don't treat the people around me great. You're not psycho. You're not where it's like, oh, I can be this really respectful person here with the customer, but I'm going to be disrespectful with the employees. It's how how you do both is who you are at the core. I think that's very important. We have to respect people. We have to value people. And it's up for them to lose our respect, and it's up for them to lose their value themselves. But we have to start everybody at a high respect level and a high value level, because when we don't do that, people can read it, and they're not going to do work of value, or they're not going to respect us if that's not given first as leaders. I think we have to set that precedence.
Yeah. Yep. And if you, one of the things I think people need to consider is change, being able to change. Talk a little bit about that, because some people might think about this. Oh, this is great. We're talking about a lot of stuff, but I've been this way for a long time.
Yeah. I used to keep, actually, when I run landscape operation, I used to keep a wooden handled stick edger on my wall. It was, you just had to used it in Lubbock, Texas to edge grass with. Okay. And I kept it on my wall. And when people didn't want to change things, I would say, hey, well, then get me one of your crew's gas-powered stick edger, and I want to give you this old wooden handled stick edger to use, because if we didn't change things, this is what we'd still be using.
Yeah.
As I moved up and I started coaching people, I would carry a rotary phone with me. And if people said they didn't want to change things, I'd go out to my car and I'd bring, so give me your cell phone. Here, use this to do your job with. Because if we didn't change things, I mean, I still have it sitting over here. It's a brown rotary phone. It's like if we didn't change things, this is what we'd still be using. So
Yeah.
I like, because that's a lot more symbolic for people than just, hey, if you don't change, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to change, but the world is going to change. Okay. Things are changing
Yeah.
around you. And I believe either you manage change or change manages you, one of the two. And, we all have to get on board with AI in some way or another. I heard someone say, no, AI will not replace your job, but somebody who knows how to use AI in your role will.
Mm-hmm.
So again, think it's kind of like, once we started getting gas powered vehicles, until you come up with something better, we're going to use those till the end of time.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. You have to learn how to adapt to these things. I mean, I remember making fun of people who used to carry cell phones in Target, but they were those big shoulder mounted models. It's like, what are
Yeah.
you doing?
The
Now
break.
everybody does. It's like I was fighting that technology, if you could call that technology at the time, but yeah, it really was. But I was fighting that. But it's like, yep, everybody carries those now. So
Yeah.
it's you've got to stay up with the times. You can fight it all you want, but if it's something that's moving through society, you've got to figure out how to use it or how to
Mm-hmm.
adapt to it to some degree.
Yeah, that's for sure. So we're getting close to the end here, but I got a couple more questions, and then we're going to wind down things. So, as you're doing these retreats, helping people, coaching, personal development, helping these organizations, how does this help you grow?
Oh wow! Well, I mean, there's not one session that I haven't done doing these that I haven't gained something from it. I'll give you a perfect example. Again, this wasn't really my hang up, but it was something that was like, wow, that's really cool. So, as I said, people would walk along the beach and it's like, hey, you need some reflection time. So a couple of the guys went out one time and one of them was looking for the perfect shell. It's like, I've got to find the perfect shell. I've got to find the perfect one. And another one was like, why? Why do you want the perfect shell? Because he had a broken shell. It's like, this shell's been through so much and it's still here. It's still, it's kind of like us in life. And plus, where it's broken through, you can see the beautiful colors inside. You couldn't see all those beautiful colors inside if it wasn't broken. So with it being broken, you can see truly what it is. I just thought, wow, that's such a beautiful thing. It's like, it was a quote of mine that I'd had before this, but it tied into it that even a flawed diamond will shine with brilliance if it lets the light shine through.
Yeah.
A flawed diamond, you let the sunlight shine through it, it's
Yeah.
gonna be just as you wouldn't know it was flawed unless you got very close and looked down at it with a glass. So that's one of those things that that I believe it just by being around 5, 4, 3 other great minds, you're always going to learn something. 4 days may seem like a lot. It goes so quick before you know it, and it's one of the most bittersweet things. People want to get back home, but they don't want to leave. And
Yeah.
but again, it's to be around some great people and have open conversations, vulnerable conversations. And it's not always easy for people to be vulnerable, but I can promise you within the first 3 to 4 hours, you're going to break down and talk like you would to any one of your best friends in the world, because that's how we are there. It's just very, very open, very, as Dave Westcott said, he was an attendee. And as he said, that's one of my superpowers. And
Nice.
it's not a bragging thing. It's just what I
No.
was told. It's nothing I ever knew that I had, but I've had a lot of people tell me that you just make people feel comfortable, make people feel open to be able to talk and heal. And that's he actually gave me the Native American name of Medicine Heart. So that's what he gave me as my name. He's Native American, and so am I. I'm Cherokee, and I'm not sure what he is, maybe Ute or something. But anyway, so that was really nice of him to do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, retreats in the future. So, if someone wants to talk to you about a retreat, Thane, well, first of all, let's talk about what you got planned for the rest of this year and beyond.
I'm trying to nail down dates for April to be able to do a treat or two for this year. Then I would like to do some in October. I would really like to do one here. I wanted to do snowmobiling here, but I'm glad I didn't now with it being 58 degrees and rainy, because it was supposed to be this weekend. And so I'm glad it didn't happen. A lot of people got too much snow this year. it was a little bit of a bummer for me, but now it's not. I'm like, oh, God did this for a reason. God made this, because that would have been disappointing for a lot of people. So, that's one thing contingent with the weather, but that's two of the things I'm trying to do. I'll actually be at the Snow Alliance that Storks Plows is putting on. I'll actually be traveling to Pennsylvania next week to visit with Kirk Brown, and then going to Jersey to visit with Rob Miller. So having some fun on the road with some of those people. I'm trying to get out a little bit more on a regular basis with people I work with. So that's, something I really think is important to be able to, again, put the hands on. I think I visited Kirk 2 or 3 times so far. So this will be, I think, my 4th visit there, and looking forward to it.
Good. Well, if someone wants to reach out and talk to you more about this, about personal development coaching in the snow or the green industry, what's the best way to get a hold of you, Thane?
Really, right through LinkedIn is the best way. Thane Isaacs, if you're not connected with me, if you want to connect, I had plenty of room in my connection board. I have like half of my connections filled up, I think like 15,000, but I got plenty of room. So please reach out. I'd love to connect with anybody who is not trying to sell me crypto coin or date me. Those two things I'm not really into, but everything else I'm good with. So and anybody who I can help in any way, to me, it's not always about the transaction. It's about the relationship is what it's really about. Yeah. So if I can help anybody in any way, and again, if anybody's ever interested in attending these retreats, I have several people you can talk to find out if they're worth going to. And again, I've had nobody ever say they didn't get so much out of it. Everybody gets a lot out of it, because again, I don't cater them to what I think needs to be delivered. I cater them to what the people who are attending need. And that makes it that much better. But like any event you go to, I don't care if it's a Tony Robbins or if it's one of mine, they're only good. The only thing that makes them great is if you take the relationships and grow those relationships that you get from there, and you take what you learn at these and actually apply them to your life. Otherwise, you might as well just watch a video.
Yep. Good stuff. Well, thanks so much for being here today, Thane. I want to thank everyone who has stopped in the comments. Ronald and Kirk. Andy came in later and he said, really nice ideas for sharing business leaders to get along well with their customers and clients. That is for sure. Thane is a master at that. We had Jeremy stopping by today. We had Stephen and Christine. I think I've gotten everybody. And then we had our mysterious user that was in here. But thanks for stopping by today. We will be back again next week with another show. Thane, hang out with me for a minute. We'll finish up offline. Everyone that was listening today, thank you. And if you got here late, go back to the beginning and start over, because Thane dropped some golden nuggets right from the beginning. You want to learn about personal development. You want to learn how executive retreats really do drive leadership and business growth and business success. Get back there and listen to it. Thanks again. We'll be back.